look now at all these different picks, and I'll let you gather your thoughts and see if there's anything interesting that you want to go for, because the first thing I noticed is they first picked the Lee Sin this time, but this time it is going to be going into the jungle, not into the mid lane.
I think the big one that surprises me that it got through the pick ban is the Akali. Akali's been insanely strong, like she's nuts on the current patch, so the fact you're going to get that up towards LA in that top lane will give a lot of stability there. Looks like he will be going up against the Nocturne, so it's a little bit of an easier time for the Nocturne because you do have that spell shield, but still Akali, when she hits 6, super potent in that lane, especially if you get some sort of jungle attention. So I'm curious to see if LNG are able to put more of their eggs towards that top lane basket this time around. Well, actually, they did the rope, so Shanks is going to be taking that Nocturne. It's the Lucian going topside, so certainly Breathe in these early stages can do well against Ale here, making sure that he's able to bully out that melee versus range matchup. But you have to be very careful when you hit that level 6, because if Ale is able to land any of these shurikens, you're going to just get chased down the lane as Breathe, and there's very little you can do about it.
Yeah, there is just very, very little you can kind of set yourself up for, but having looked at it, the Lucian top lane is something that has been a bit of an LPL specialty for the last little while. Of course, Xiao, who famously set himself up as arguably the best top lane Lucian in the world, has gone with the longsword and pots, and against the Akali, I'd be curious to see how this matchup really does go, and if it is as oppressive as we expect it to be.
Yeah, now, I mean, you still, as Ale, have opportunities to try and avoid some of the pressure from Breathe, right? You still have that Shroud, you can still do some work, but definitely the longer lane makes it a bit more difficult for Ale. It's not like you can just run away to your turret and be safe, so just be careful that Breathe isn't trying to chase you down or poke you down too effectively. And in this mid lane, you can see Shanks already. He's going to be pretty fine. You get enough sustain here coming through. You've got good wave clear thanks to your Q. And here we go. This is what I was talking about. Yes, you've got the Shroud, but because of the longer lane, Breathe has more opportunity to zone you off the wave, zone you off that experience, and also gives a little bit more time for him to hit you as you try to run away.
Oh, this feels bad, and you can see there Ale just trying to move forward to get in some kind of experience range. I don't even think he is, and the level 2 is going to be hitting up for Breed, so he'll not only have the Piercing Light, but he'll also have the Relentless Pursuit very, very shortly. So Ale's got to just accept his fate right now and know that he is just not going to be seeing any of these minions until they hit his tower.
Yeah, and for Tarzan, you need to try and get up here and make this a little bit easier, because your bot side, you're not going to be playing towards Lightning Lwandy realistically. Like, this is not something that you want to try and enable with the Ezreal. You just let him farm up, get to a point where he's relevant. Instead, you want to be helping out Icon, helping out Ale, but this is what we said before, right? Tarzan always pass from top to the bottom side, trying to use Lightning Lwandy's pressure bot lane to secure that scuttle. And we're seeing it again here, so it'll be kind of the 4.5 to 5 minute mark before we actually get Tarzan impacting on towards this top side.
Need to see how it all goes. Flash forward. Does he have the damage? He does! Icon with the solo kill in the mid lane.
Nicely done from Icon. That's exactly what you want to see coming through from the LNG mid laner. And now, again, we've said, hey, look, when these guys actually do get a lead, LNG are nigh on unstoppable. They're really good at playing from a place where they're ahead, but it is just the mid lane right now, as you can see Ale, still level 2, struggling against Breathe up here.
Yeah, should hit level 3, possibly even 4, to be honest with you, after the massive wave that just stacked up in this top side. And Beishang is here, but we're going to see an engage on the bot side, and missing. That is not the engage you wanted, my friend. The Grand Entry is going to be able to knock him up. He's a very tanky Leona, but there's only so much he can take. And that is just an unfortunate timing there on the Zenith Blade. Didn't respect that the Lee Sin was probably going to be bot side.
Yeah, some people say unfortunate, some people will say silly, because you know that Lee Sin's going to be bot side. Beishang just took that top crop uncontested, so by default, Tarzan has to be on this bottom side. We're going to get this replay though, very flash in from Icon, and again, just having the machine gun Ryze, enough abilities there to burn down Shanks, and Shanks just not respecting the all-in that could potentially come through from Icon there.
Interesting to note there as well, the spell shield did actually stop the spell itself, but the mark that leads you to lending the, rather than a slow on your rune prison, gives you a stun on your rune prison, remains. So it doesn't actually nullify that particular one. And now Breed, he's pushed up all the way, but Tarzan is here. Oh, dearie, dearie me, this is not very good for him. Breathe will go down to Tarzan, and this is starting to get a little risky now for WE. LNG, we talk about it a million times, they know how to deal with a lead.
Yeah, and this is where it's actually much better from Tarzan, right? He's been able to get in towards these lanes, have that impact that actually gives LNG the push that they need in the right direction. Now, Ale didn't get the kill. He's still 7 CS behind, but does make things a little bit easier. As you can see, that gold lead does equal up. WE now trying to trade this for pressure on bot side with Beishang, who's gotten the dragon.
He's starting the dragon. Is a little bit risky at the moment, though paranoia just yet for Shanks, and Lwandy is roaming up, trying to just be a nuisance right now. They will not be able to stop the dragon 100%, but Beishang taking a lot of punishment here from this dragon. The Realm Warp going to be used here. The dragon does go in favor of WE. Now, Realm Warp used, and Elk gets himself out. Missing, going to dare go ahead and sacrifice his life for the benefit of his team. They get the dragon, but the wheels are starting to look a bit wobbly for WE after such a convincing game one.
Yeah, almost a 1,500 gold lead now, and although you had like decent lane matchups for Breed in the top side, Tarzan's been able to steady that. Now you got Shanks, who's down a kill, 2 kills on towards missing. It's not looking so hot here for WE, and it's not like they have someone who can try and like help out in the same way that Tarzan will on this Lee Sin. Gwen, not exactly the strongest champion when you've got very little CC on top side. Even in the mid lane, although you can try and punish the fact that you're flashless for Icon, it's still going to be tough to do so.
Lwandy just playing the annoyance there, as he basically didn't touch Elk at all, just stopped the recall from happening. And I just wanted to touch back on what you mentioned there about the Gwen. The Gwen is great when she has lanes that can facilitate for her, and you're looking at a Lucian, a Nocturne. They don't really have the best of hard CC to be able to set this one up for them, and you can see now Breathe has got a ward this time round in his jungle, so he's gonna immediately relentless pursue back away. Still has his flash, so should be fine. Beishang is in tow as well. Sonic Wave does not land, and maybe they look to try and maybe turn this one. But Minion Wave's still pushing, so it should be fine. But like I was saying, the WE lanes actually have a really tough time of setting up Beishang for success by not really having any hard CC, hard facilitating, spells to be able to set things up. So I think the big thing right now is it's going to be very, very curious to see how Beishang navigates this different style, if you will, after game one.
Yeah, it has to be about creating numbers advantages through Shank's paranoia. That's the only way that you actually really get to have these advantages accrued for WE. They can try and make it down towards bot side. You have Missing, Beishang move in, then you get Shanks coming in over the top, and you can try and lock down Lwandy, or if Tarzan is trying to answer for counter gank. But you do have options here as WE. It did just rely on the level 6, and now I want to see if they can actually make that happen, or if they're just going to fall again further behind. 2 minutes until this next dragon. You'd expect that Tarzan is going to try and put pressure down there once again, and use the fact that Icon has control over that mid lane.
It's such a strange situation that is WE. We see them game one. We saw this is the WE we know and love. This is the team that we know can push the boundaries of playoffs, put them into a deep run. And then, of course, we got to look to the previous matchup against JDG. And no disrespect to JDG, they're a fantastic team, but that Shaco left scars. That Shaco was scarring to the side of Team WE, and sometimes you can kind of see little inklings where they just kind of panic.
Well, I'm actually kind of annoyed at LNG right now, because I'm looking at where Tarzan is on the map. I'm like, you've got Rift Herald up, you have advantages mid and on your jungle, and Ale is better in a skirmish than Breathe is right now. Like, you 100% should be here for this contest.
Here we go. This is going to be the contest. It's actually going to be Breed using the culling. The perfect execution comes over, but they're able to get him back over. No! Okay, he does end up falling down. You can see now Shanks going to sacrifice his life to guarantee the Rift Herald was not all in vain. 2 kills going over to the side of LNG in favor of 1 and a Rift Herald for WE.
Now imagine that Tarzan had been there at the start of that, right? You end up catching WE when they're in the pit. That is so much better. But either way, they still get 2 kills. It's going to be a big question of how does Shanks use this Rift Herald, because he was the one that actually managed to pick it up when all was said and done. And I will give him a little bit of pressure mid, but again, I want to see more access from Shanks towards the side lanes, but we need to wait for that paranoia to come back up before he can do so.
Icon is getting very, very big in this game right now. 3-0-1, has himself a lot of CS as well, almost 100 at this stage, and this is just really well played from Ale, just sticking on top of Breathe, making himself a nuisance.
But even the mechanical skill there, right, was just absolutely insane. Being able to get in off the first perfect execution, guess the shuriken flip to follow breathe over the wall. It was just really well played. And now that top off the map again for LNG, looking all the scarier. And again, we talked about, hey, look, when LNG are in an advantage, they're really good at closing this out. You've got you got the kind of double assassins, I'm going to say, for Ale and Tarzan, who can put a lot of threat on towards Elk, on towards Breathe, make it really hard for them to have this team fight. And there's not a huge amount of lockdown, as we already pointed out, on WE's side. So for people like Tarzan and Ale, they will be free to roam around these team fights.
Beishang still just waiting to find his opportunity to impact this game. Yes, he's ahead in CS, but he is behind on the kills. And this is going to be the Dragon now picked up for LNG. They will stop the early stacking. WE won't be feeling too hard done by this. You are behind. You don't really have a position of power to force this narrative on the Dragons, so you're going to just have to give this one up. But we're going to see the Realm Warp committed now into this top side as the culling did come out. But you see there Shanks and Beishang, they're not quite done just yet. They're still pushing and prodding, seeing if he's being a bit greedy. Gonna drop down the Rift Herald, give all this gold over to the solo lanes, and the top side of the map belongs to WE.
Yeah, best way to try and trade that objective. Dragon goes across, but oh no. Either way, look, they'll still get this right. It doesn't matter a huge amount.
Scary.
But it's a little bit slower. But it actually means Beishang, yeah, will still be in range. Breathe is there as well. So yeah, you're all fine here. They eventually managed to pick this one up. Will they get us? Yeah, just... Oh, Shanks actually gets tagged by Tarzan.
Gets tagged by Tarzan. Shanks needs to back himself away. TP being committed here as well. Lwandy does have the quickness, or does not have the quickness, so no real big CC here, as he's just waiting for the Ruin Prison. But if you're just waiting for the Ruin Prison, you're never going to spell shield any of the other damage. Ale has to get himself away. He will not fall, as Elk almost gets the assassination there. And still only 1,000 gold despite the kills, but this momentum that LNG are feeling, they're going to be feeling pretty good about. And oh, Ale might be in a little bit of trouble. There is the Zenith Blade, but the Shroud is good enough to keep him safe. That just delays the back again, and a more gold going back into WE. They're picking up plates, which is the important thing.
Yeah, plates are going their way, and even, as you said, the gold lead, despite the fact that LNG are ahead in kills, it's WE who are making the better map plays. Now, unfortunately, Shanks did get caught on that top lane play. Partly Rift Herald, partly a lazy recall as well, instead of just walking back up through the lane. But still, you're looking at now what was a 2,000 gold lead, reverted back to about his 500 gold lead. And for WE, that's a hell of a lot better than the position that they were initially in.
Yeah, honestly, it's such a strange thing to look at as well. As we can see, Breathe, he's a level behind, so needs to be a little bit careful, but the recall is finished, so he should be totally fine. But again, this is the thing that you have to put into your head. WE don't see the gold like we do. They just see the kills. They have to know in their heart of hearts they are in an okay position. They got to look at the CS and see 35 in top lane, 20 in the jungle. Yes, you're behind in bot and mid, but they have to know that they are in a semi-okay position to be able to take these mid-game fights.
Yeah, well, they still need to be very careful, right? Because you're looking at, like, items. It's pretty much all in favor of LNG. The only reason that we don't see Ale kind of having his first one completed is because he went for that Seeker's Arm Guard first. So certainly for LNG, they are a driving force and ahead in this game still. Especially when you look at Icon, right? 4 kills, Luden's Tempest already completed, working towards that Archangel Staff as well. He is hella big. And you got to be so careful now as WE, because who actually goes in to kind of tank up that burst damage from Ryze? Generally, when we think of Ryze, you know, a lot of his damage ends up getting tossed into a Mundo or a Set, who's like, thank you very much, here's all that damage back in a Haymaker. This time around, though, Beishang isn't really tanky enough. Shanks doesn't want to absorb that. Missing is 0-2. He's not tanky enough to try and absorb that damage. So Icon is going to have a major impact in these fights, way more so than you would usually expect from a Ryze.
Coming over to a little bit of a lull. Probably won't see much fighting happening, as just as I say that, Shanks gets caught out. Bot lane just says, no, Penguin, not going to listen to you today. So, still a couple of skirmishes, but we shouldn't see any major objectives being taken pretty much until that minute and a half. And
Rift is going to be up just in a second, so...
Shanks is in a really bad spot. Shanks is just not in a position to be able to save himself. He just put himself between a rock and a hard place. But now you've got this Lucian coming in. Beishang has got a lot of work as well with the needlework. You're going to have to be forcing the flash out of Ale soon. If Missing's able to get the solar flare down, he's just about getting the flash out of him. And that is a win for the side of Team WE. They're going to be able to transition that towards that top side. There is no tower here. Ale's going to be pretty much pushed back all the way. And I think Ale's dead.
Yeah, this is why they were still chasing. Breathe cuts him off. Beishang now chasing down.
Chasing him down. He's in the shroud. They know exactly where he is, and they're going to be able to pick him off. 2 kills overall in that skirmish to Breathe. They can turn back now to try and take down this Rift Herald. And that all started because Shanks was just in a bad position.
Penguin, it's 15 minutes and 3 seconds before the 15-minute mark. WE took the lead for the first time in this game. The gold lead is in WE's favor. Now, they will get Rift Herald. They make some nice plays there to try and turn that around. And again, yes, you're answering on this bottom half of the map, but WE doing a really good job of just outplaying LNG when it comes through rotations and their map play. Watch where Missing is. He's already started to roam up on bot side, realizing that Herald is going to become a big contestation point. Beishang, yeah, Gwen. And then we start to move over with Breathe, able to do damage. And look, there's Missing right on time and actually able to finish off the low, well, help finish off Ale in that top side.
I love that analysis from you. Just Gwen. Just there's nothing more to say. I think everything's been said already.
yeah. I mean, needlework is a totally fine and okay ability right now, you know?
Yeah, we'll come back to that eventually. I'm sure you'll have plenty to say about that on either the dive or bevies with the boys. The dive. I don't know why you would be on the dive, but I guess now you are on the dive. Last hit. Jesus, I was there. I was like, it's not Euphoria. What's the other one? I'm forgetting my own region's podcast. God damn. Well, coming back to my region and back to reality, the Mountain Drake is going to be taken here by WE, and the momentum feels like it is very hard shifted back in favor of WE. You mentioned the gold, we mentioned the Breathe now on this Lucian has got himself his Essence Reaver, so he's going to be a big threat, and Ali's still sitting on components, still waiting to finish up an item, while Rift Herald's being dropped in bot side. WE, they're just pushing, they're just prodding, they're just making it as awkward as hell for anyone. An Icon goes in, he does miss out the solar flare, they jump back on top of it though, and there's Elk with the Kaisa onto the back line. The Rakan follows suit, and they're going to be able to trade this back though for the side of LNG, but they need to be so careful. WE still pushing, but they know that the Akali's coming back. They know they've used all their ultimates. They just need to reset, take what they've gotten, and get themselves some money in the bank.
And this is so good from WE, right? They realize Ale's still topside. As you said, he hadn't reset, so they just overload the bottom side of the map, take the turret, play off the Rift Herald, and manage to get 2 turrets for themselves alongside some clean kills as well. And now it's a 1,500 gold lead for WE. Dragons have already been in favor of WE as well. So when you start to look towards a Mountain Dragon stacking, it's going to work wonders for these guys. But you see that, right? Ale's still in top lane. Icon, even though he doesn't get hit by the actual stun, the slow is enough to set up for the culling, the all-in coming through from WE, and unfortunately for Missing, managed to take the Mystic Shot on the way out coming through from Ezreal.
Yeah, there's a little slap on the booty. Enough to take him down, give a little bit of gold back, but have a look at the player gold. Look at the advantage in the top side, 2,500. And yes, you have about a 1,300 gold lead in mid lane. It's just not enough to mitigate this Lucian who is just starting to take over this game.
Now, he still has to be very careful. In a 1v1 scenario against Ale, I still favor Ale, so you can see that they've kind of gone right. Shanks, can you do us a favor, bud, and just kind of deal with Ale for the moment? Akali's still insanely strong, but it does mean that for Breathe, he's able to move up towards his top side. Icon can clear waves against them, but it does mean that Breathe can actually have a lane where he's not under constant threat.
Beishang using that. Oh, okay, Breathe. No one saw it. Don't worry about it. Oh, Observer. Oh, well, you gotta do him dirty like that. But we do see the blue buff being stolen there, and this is the thing as well. Beishang, no real need to give it to the Nocturne, doesn't really need it that much, and Breathe with that Essence Reaver should never really run out of mana, so able to continually take his own buffs and enemy buffs as well. Shanks walking around to Tarzan, making sure he knows exactly where the Lee Sin is.
for Breathe, I'd actually love to see an index in towards something like a Hex Drinker. With the amount of AP damage between both solo laners and also the mixed damage coming through from Light, it do you so much good to actually have that up and available now. I'm not sure. I know he's sitting on the Caulfield's Warhammer there. That could end up going in towards it, but I think some sort of magic resist here just pays dividends across the board.
Oh, they use the wards to their advantage, but they're not able to get the kill. They burn Lwandy's quickness, they burned the Realm Warp, they burned a hell of a lot of ultimates on the side of WE, but they weren't able to get the kill, and sadly for them, if that was just in about 2 minutes time, probably would have been a better play, because they could have gone for Dragon.
I actually don't mind it here. It was a play to get mid lane turret, right? So if they manage to get that pick, they can overload that mid lane, get that man advantage, and actually take it, but the fact that they went for it now means that they had the opportunity to potentially burn some flashes that wouldn't be back up for the mountain, but all of their own ultimates should be back up and available now for this mountain dragon that's in a minute's time. So it's kind of like, hey, look, we've got a window of opportunity where these ultimates don't matter. Let's just see if we can make this work.
No harm, no foul, as you say. And Shank's now off on this top side. Will not have teleport for a little bit, so might want to be moving his spectral booty down towards this mid lane, as he's not really in a position. Will have the paranoia, like you said, in a minute's time, so should be okay to join a little bit late, as Elk... Yeah, I just noticed Zanya's...
Yeah. It makes it really difficult now for like Shanks to actually have an impact, especially for Ale as well. Like the double Zanyas means you're shutting down a lot of the pressure that these guys can have on towards like your backline, or trying to find picks to start off this fight. And now, especially for LNG, if you try to go in aggressive on a flank, say as Icon or Ale, you can still buy a hell of a lot of time here and cause chaos for WE in what wants to be a very simple front to back style of fight for WE.
Well, 20 seconds, and we are going to see WE moving down towards this Dragon Pit. LNG still have all their summoners, all summoners available across the board apart from the TP from Shanks, but he's already here, so no reason to count that particular one. Now the vision control, yeah, he's got to move, but the vision control and the mid-wave push is kind of the priority right now for both of these squads. We can see Beishang, his giant scissors. Now Ally moving up. See what they want to go for. Dragon is live. Missing taking a bit of punishment here. They turn straight away. Light does not get caught out. That means there's no hard CC. Missing does not get himself the extra tankiness. He is going to go down. No, he has the Zonyas just in the last second, but Shanks is the first one to fall. And Elk was nowhere near this fight. Elk was just off on the backside of this around blue buff, and LNG punished them so hard.
Yeah, Elk got zoned off. He got stuck between LNG. He had to walk the long way towards that fight, and Missing, that was really poor from the WE support. We're going to watch on the replay, like Miss Zenith, Miss Solar Flare, pure panic gives LNG... Oh, hang on, Elk, where are you going?
Oh, Elk, you know you can't defend that. He's trying his best. He flashes, but he's still dead. Now, can you turn this one around, though, if you're on the side of Team WE? No, you cannot. No. The Dragon's Wage kick is good, and it's all falling apart for the side of WE. LNG will not only get the Dragon, 4 kills and a mid lane turret, they're still pushing.
It's falling apart at the seams. LNG now should get this tier 2. So have to be careful with Shank opening up Paranoia though. And Beishang is trying to clear out his Krug. So they will get 3 towers and a dragon and a multitude of kills off that play for a lot of mistakes coming through from WE. And I don't even know what part of the replay we start to break down, because there was so much that just went awry for WE in that engagement. Here we go. Like, just looking at it, you're going to see... So, look at where Elk is positioned right now, right? He's like, cool, I got Missing here. We can actually look for the engage. Missing caught way out of position. Misses the Zenith Blade. Misses the Solar Flare. And now Elk's like, well, I can't actually enter this fight because Missing is running away. So you end up in a 3 versus 4 scenario because Missing's got... A 3 versus 5 scenario because Missing's got nothing left. And already you've lost 2 members before Elk is even able to put down damage. And then we just get this follow-up that's even worse because you try to overcommit because of Elk's mistake in mid lane. And now LNG back in control of this game. This has not been clean at all, this game, Penguin.
No, from neither side, and even the kills going over in favor of LNG. It is still only about a 3,000 gold lead for them as Beishang is doing as much as he physically can to keep his team in this. 2-5-1 though on the Nocturne, 0-4 for Missing. Shanks and Missing are having very poor showings on these two particular champions, and we'll see how they're able to redeem themselves, if at all, as they're not quite out of the game just yet. Of course, you still have the Lucian, you still have the Kaisa, so double AD carry. If you're given a couple of seconds of freedom onto these objectives, you can burn them down. But look how powerful this Akali and Ryze are. There's just no magic resistance, like, at all. There's zero magic resistance. There's merc treads on a couple of people. That's about it.
Yeah, Beishang has essentially become the carry for WE here, because Elk is going to be under way too much threat coming through from Ale and Icon. Same when you look towards Breathe, like, the AD carries are going to fall for WE. There's just too much threat. So it means that Beishang needs to step up, and he's got to 2 items. I think he'd love to try and finish off with like the Zhonya's at this stage, give him a little bit more safety and tankiness, but the pressure's on here as LNG push in towards top tier.
Yep, they're going to go for it. As you can see, another engage. Missing goes in, but misses absolutely everything. Paranoia used defensively. I don't understand the concept of what they're trying to go for, but the Realm Warp going to be used here. They have a ward on it, so they know it's going down. I don't think LNG are going to be able to do this as quickly as they like.
No, but look at Beishang. He's not exactly healthy. No one on WE really is. Now they are on to it.
Oh, that's a great solo flare onto 3 members. I want to be taking the punishment from the Baron at the moment. You can see them now turning it straight away. They didn't want the Baron, they wanted the fight. And now we see the needlework being used. Tarzan does get the Dragon's Rage kick, but it's not enough to knock anybody up. Dash in, flash back here for Breathe. They've started back on the Baron. It's about 6,000 HP. The True Shot Barrage is good. Can they stay on this for LNG? I don't know if they can. It's very, very risky. They still have a ward. Now it's dead. Now they don't know where anybody is. And now it starts to get a bit more risky as Breathe goes in. Beishang goes in trying to get himself that Baron steal, but he's just far, far too early. And this Akali is going to destroy this backside of WE. Ryze flashes in, gets himself the kill. And it feels like this game is all LNG.
Yeah, now LNG firmly in control. 6-2 for the Akali, 7-2 for Icon. They are just putting up too much damage, too much of a threat for WE to really approach. And you can see every time they try to fight, it's LNG who are pushing them back. And unfortunately, we already said, look, you don't have enough tankiness coming through in WE to absorb all this. And hell, even the Zhonya's picked up for Missing because he knows he has to go in with a one-way ticket. And here, great solar flare, but like, nobody's there. There's no follow-up at all. And this is what we're talking about. Ale being able to buy so much time in the midst of everyone on WE. You get the follow-up coming through from Icon, from Tarzan. It's just too much to deal with. Icon actually keeping this Baron topped up on the backside. Nearly falls to it, which is where I thought this is actually getting a bit dicey. But WE don't realize how low Icon is. Don't realize you got the reset from Ale as well. So they don't actually find the opportunity to take the 3v3. And by the time they do figure it out, it's all a little too late.
Yeah, it just feels, again, it's similar to LNG in Game 1, WE having this weird panicky feeling that they need to go for things that they're just not in a position to take. There's just no real reason for them to hard force the Baron there once they've lost 2, and it just feels to me like they're just not quite comfortable on this particular setup. They need to find a way back in to try and stop this push from LNG, but with these double cannons, Bert and Ernie, as I've now christened them, are just going to be able to put doing so much damage onto this turret, and there's just no range. There's no way you can stop it.
Oh, well, they just go for the engage instead. Oh,
whoa! Ale! Taking out Beishang, and that is your AP damage gone, buried, dusted, so you have no way of stopping this. Now there's 3, it's Bert, Ernie, and Clyde out in this bot side, just an absolute army, and they're going to be able to use the Realm Warp as well. It's a little early, because they haven't taken the inhibitor just yet, but they're just going for the fight anyway. Breathe is dead, Missing goes golden, but only to give the final salute as he heads on off to the grave, and it's going to be WE falling to LNG. It's going to be a game 3 versus these two teams.
Yeah, and look, it wasn't exactly the cleanest from LNG, but they do manage to get there as WE forced back to their fountain, and the Nexus falls.
Nexus goes down 1-1 in this best of 3. LNG bite back over Team WE, and this feels like it's a series of mistakes from both teams in Game 1 and in Game 2, and it's more about who does it mess up rather than who capitalizes on it at this stage.
Yeah, and it was unfortunate for WE because they did a really good job of clawing this game back from what shouldn't have been as close of a game as we got. Like, Shanks unfortunately giving over that kill in the mid lane. We then got plays up towards top, and it felt like LNG had got the ball rolling. The 2 solo laners from WE set behind, but you can see it just wasn't enough. Even though they managed to get it back, it was plays coming through from Ale, from Icon, and unfortunately misplays from Missing that gave the opportunity for LNG to bring this game back.
And again, I keep harking back to it, but there was just so many times where Missing just wasn't in a bad position, but as well, Elk... I have this big issue with Elk right now, where there just seems to be times where the rest of his team is on one page and he's on a completely other, and you need your AD carry, specifically something like a Kaisa that will be able to dive into the backline with the Nocturne's Leona, will be able to put down that extra damage. It just wasn't there. Props to LNG though, they didn't let their head dip even after they saw that little bit of an advantage go back towards WE. They kept themselves in the ascendancy, and Icon in this Ryze was just huge.
Yeah, I want to go back. I think a little bit unfortunate for Elk in this game, where I actually don't mind his position at the Dragon fight. It was more so Missing just completely screwed it, and there was just no coming back. Like, as Elk, you then have to walk the whole way around that fight, but I think, again, you're also not set up to succeed as either AD carry in this game, right? Breathe got set behind, Ale is on an Akali. I wouldn't be surprised to see it banned away in this next game, and Icon was huge. So at any point in time, you've got a bunch of damage that's coming through from the front line. You've got an Akali in your back line, and you're like, where the hell am I supposed to go? We're 2 short-range AD carries.
Yeah, well, there wasn't anywhere for them to go. We were going to go to a quick break, and when we return, Game 3